Romance isn't just for vampires and werewolves. Lord Byron, the famous 19th century poet, likes romance too. Romance is a touchy subject for some, and an intriguing subject for others.
Think about both the physical and non-physical aspects of romance. What makes one attracted to another person? Is it their sensual demeanor or their adventurous personality that makes you want them? More specifically, think of what you are attracted to in a person.
Our poem, She Walks in Beauty, brings these questions to life. Before we discuss our poem with you, we'd like to talk about some terms you may not be familiar with.
Take a look at the poem. Line 2 contains the word climes. This means climate. In line 6, the word gaudy means brilliant in terms of bright light.
Also, in line 9, raven tress means black hair. Now that we have the boring stuff out of the way, here's a reading by the one and only Mr. Patrick Bernhardt with our poem, She Walks in Beauty, by Lord Byron.
She walks in beauty, like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in the aspect of her eyes. Thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to the gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent.
Now, for all of you Neanderthals out there who couldn't pay attention long enough to listen to Mr. Bernhardt read our poem, here it is for you again.
She walks in beauty, like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in the aspect of her eyes. Thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to the gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent.
So basically, this guy just wants to get in this mysterious woman's pants.
Allie, inappropriate! Even though that is true of the poem, it goes much deeper than that. The speaker, obviously a man, is looking at a beautiful woman from afar. But she is not the typical beauty we encounter. She is much different.
While the unnamed woman is beautiful because she is physically attractive on the outside, it's sensual almost. She is also pure and innocent on the inside.
We decided that the central purpose of our poem is that although one's physical appearance may be a factor in the attraction to another, the interior goodness of a person is reflective on their outward appearance, and therefore contributes to the overall beauty of a person.
Excellent point, Kim. This poem is particularly interesting because it is very unconventional. Think about it. The most famous sonnet of all time by William Shakespeare compares a beautiful woman to a summer's day, not nighttime. This poem is an opposite allusion to Shakespeare's Sonnet 18.
The tone of She Walks in Beauty is peaceful and tranquil. This is achieved mostly by the diction Byron uses with images of nighttime described with starry skies, tender light, and tints that glow, which represent the soft light emanated from the moon and the stars.
Lord Byron is using the difference to create a contrast between dark and light. He does this several times. In line 3, she's described as all that's best of dark and bright.
Also, in line 7, we are shown that the unnamed woman is one shade the more, one ray the less, which is just another example of contrast.
This is one of the things that makes a woman's beauty unconventional. Not only is she being compared to starry skies, but also to other things in nature. This is a key characteristic in a romantic poem. Her raven tress, or raven hair as we pointed out earlier, also adds to the woman's mystery.
But in this time period in England, a beautiful woman was pale and blonde.
Who is this perv anyway?
We don't know. The poem is in first-person narrative, so it could be a random man, or it could even be Lord Byron himself.
It's clear that the speaker is a man who's looking at this woman from afar. It's evident that the man doesn't know the woman, for she is unnamed. It's possible that he just wants to get to know the woman on a personal level to better understand her innocence.
Or maybe he just plans to take away her innocence.
Ha ha, Allie. Anyways, Byron wrote this poem to an audience as a reaction to the rationalism of the previous era of thinking. Instead of writing about reason and rule, Byron wrote with his heart and his feelings to describe the woman to prove that feelings overcome rationality.
So, where is this poem taking place? It doesn't really give a direct answer.
Well, obviously this is taking place at night. I was picturing like an outdoor gazebo in a rose garden draped in string lights. I mean, the tender light is referring to the soft light that is emitted from the moon and the stars.
Listen to this guy, a modern day Casanova.
Anywho, this poem is very timeless, giving not a lot of evidence as to the time period.
Now on to everybody's favorite topic, syntax.
Ugh.
Oh! Ma!
The most important thing to note about the syntax in this poem is the enjambment.
To remind those who forgot, enjambment is the running on of one thought from one line to another without a break.
Thanks, Kim. There are only 3 sentences in this poem, each one a separate stanza. Each stanza is made up of 6 lines, which vary in endings, commas, semicolons, colons, periods, or enjambments into the next line.
The meter is iambic tetrameter, and the rhyme scheme is A B A B A B, C D C D C D, E F E F E F, so on and so forth. Here, say it out loud with me. Come on now. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies.
Now that Mr. Rogers is done with his fun activity, is there a shift in any part of the poem?
There is one major shift in She Walks in Beauty where the speaker begins to emphasize the inner goodness and innocence of the woman. The shift occurs at line 11 and continues on into the 3rd stanza. He starts by discussing how the woman's mind is pure and that her facial expressions tell of her innocence and goodness. Ending with how her mind is at peace and her heart is innocent, the speaker affirms her inner goodness and how it contributes to her overall beauty.
So would innocence be like the light which has been used throughout the poem?
Yeah, that is exactly it, and the unconventional beauty of the woman is the dark.
Yeah, that's nice and all, but explain to me the literary devices used in this poem.
Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty then.
Well, the heart in line 18 is a synecdoche for the nameless woman because her mind along with her heart are both innocent. Byron also makes use of a paradox in line 7, one shade the more, one ray the less. Both say the same thing. Either way, the one would become darker.
There are 3 examples of alliteration in this poem. The first is in line 2 where it says cloudless climes and starry skies. The other 2 examples of alliteration are also examples of consonants. In lines 6, gaudy days deny, and line 11, thoughts serenely sweet express.
Line 6 also contains personification, where heaven is denying a gaudy day. Line 11 is personifying the thoughts by expressing sweetness, and in line 15, the smiles win and the tints glow.
So that means in line 9 and 12, they're both examples of metaphors. The raven's tress is an unnamed woman's black hair, and the dwelling place is a metaphor of her mind. And of course, the poem as a whole is a simile, comparing the woman to nighttime.
Like Eric pointed out earlier, this poem is meant to be timeless. It is for when you walk into a room and be like, damn, only 19th century poetry.